All right, what's going on, everybody? This is episode 39 of the First and Framerates podcast. Now, this is a quick PSA. A part of the podcast has been cut off due to technical difficulties, so you may not get the gaming part of the podcast, but there's still plenty of content to listen to. I hope you guys really understand. I do apologize for the inconvenience. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the content. You guys take care. You're trying to say that Houston they're taking they took 10 threes this quarter already.
Yep.
So they haven't learned anything from last year.
2 minutes left?
So they haven't learned anything from last year.
Hey, when you choose somebody out for taking a long two and they have to apologize.
All right, I'm already recording, so we're about to get started. This is First and Frame Rates. What is this, episode 39?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah, I think it's 39. Anyway, you can now catch us on iTunes, SoundCloud. You can download you can pretty much search us anywhere on your favorite generic podcast app, and we will be right there readily and available for you. So you can download the podcast and listen to our lovely voices on the go. And today we have a lot of topics. We're going to talk about some Black Ops 4. We're going to talk about some Red Dead Redemption, the game itself, and the situation where these workers are possibly overworked. A couple other things that's just going to go on the fly as far as gaming goes. We're going to talk about the NBA. The debut of the season just started, and we're going to talk about some scores in the NFL. We haven't really been on the college football thing as much. We do know that Georgia lost to LSU and a couple other fascinating scores that happened throughout college, but you have to forgive us. We haven't been on it as much to talk about that, so we won't. Anyway, we're going to start with the intros. I'm going to give DJ the reins to start his intro first. DJ, what has been going on with you, man?
Man, a lot has been going on, and sadly there have been a couple of deaths that one, I had a death in the family, so
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's something that
Sorry for your loss, man.
I gotta not really look forward to. I'm not looking forward to going to the funeral on this coming Monday. And then in the sports world, I know there were a couple of deaths in the sports world, but locally here in DC, we just lost Rich Tandler, who normally reports on the Redskins for NBC, CSN, or CSN NBC. So lost him today. But other than that, just been working. I'm glad the Skins beat Carolina for a change, and
man, talk about
topics.
Man, you said that, man. Cam Newton and his accuracy, it needs to stop. He overthrows everybody. I mean, that dude will overthrow Jesus if he was thrown at the heavens. I mean, Jesus. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, I'm not knocking him, but it's just terrible. He's been in the league too long for that. Anyway,
that was some grade A shade right there.
Anyway, Bills, what's going on? I'm gonna let you handle your business. What's going on, man?
Well, perhaps some slightly better news. I'm gonna be doing some gigs of my own soon, so that's good. I'm trying to come up with a set list right now, songs that I would do, and we're organizing that. We're gonna find some venues. We're gonna start doing some gigs.
This
I
is
also,
awesome.
Yeah, man, it's really coming together. I mean, I know a guy that has a production group that is partnered with Def Jam, so that's another big thing that's going on right now. I'm supposed to meet with him next week, and hopefully we can get some type of deal signed, and I can start recording, obviously, on a more permanent basis. And yes, I mean, those are 2 revenue streams right there that are opening up, and can't come soon enough. That's all I can say. But other than that, I mean, just playing these games and trying to stay out of drama.
I think First and Framerates has done a very good job of staying out of drama.
Yes.
I know this is basically like our first. This is our first episode that's actually going to be on iTunes that wasn't recorded prior to us putting this on iTunes. So if anybody's like finally getting this content for the first time, We have been the subject of a lot of unnecessary drama, but for the past I say the month or so, we've been sidestepping it, and we've just been keeping it about these games. So I think we've done a good job of that, and we just let everything else fall by the wayside.
And also, people have toned down on doing things that are so stupid we can't not speak on it.
Well, that is true. That is true, because if you do something stupid in the gaming community, hell, even in the sports world, if we see a professional player doing something stupid, we're going to speak on it, and we're going to call your dumb ass out. So, I mean, only way, the only way to, not to be talked about is just don't do stupid shit.
Yeah, from the months of June to pretty much October, that's like the height of the idiocy in the sports community. And it's toned down the past couple months, so I'm proud of certain people for
staying. It's not what they say. We are proud of them for staying in their lane.
Staying in their lane, yeah. I mean,
since that was supposed to be the shade when we used to talk about me being in my lane.
Yeah.
Look like they stayed in theirs, and that's what it need to be. Well, anyway, my intro. I am VF Baller. You also can find me as Silent Gamer. Think I'm gonna continue to stick with that VF Baller thing. Everybody knows me as that virtual footballer. They call me that anyway. They give a damn about my other name. So
pretty much.
So I'll just continue to go by that. And this is the First and Framerates podcast. This podcast is basically where you get uncut, authentic, real commentary about sports and sports gaming. And for me, I really want to, push this content to the masses. And I'm glad I have two great co-hosts to do that with. And we're just going to continue to push on. Now, personally, what's been going on with me for the past week or so, as everybody, most people know that my wife is pregnant, and she was very concerned about the baby not moving. We just got into our 6 months, and she was concerned about it. Talked to our doctor about it, and lo and behold, he just said, "Don't worry about it. You'll be fine." The day after that, I mean, my son just won't stop moving in her stomach. I mean, that little guy's gonna be active, and that pretty much just made my last 10 days. I mean, every day I would come home, or she will send me a picture, she'll send me a video of watching her stomach move. And like last night, for instance, I was playing some of my music. Like, I mean, I know you two guys know that I made beats for my old channel, my old YouTube channel. So I was just going back listening to that music just by chilling or whatever. And all of a sudden, every single song I put up, the baby would move in her stomach. And like, she actually sent me, the video, because I had my back turned, so I really wasn't paying attention. And she showed me, like, you see his hand or see his foot, like, poking out through her stomach. And, that's just, I mean, all this other stuff that's been going on, in the world. I was sitting here, even, with games, sports, even politics. I try not to get, into all that stuff. I try to be fair-minded, not necessarily take a side. I just try to use common sense in everything that goes on. But when that stuff happened with my baby, I just didn't care about none of the other stuff. My main thing was, I just want to just continuously bring positive vibes and bring good content, whether it be the YouTube channel or if it'll be this podcast or just on Twitter in general. It's just like, you can't be upset at stuff that you can't control. So, I just got away from all that. So basically, everybody, it's like all three of us have really good, positive weeks. I know, DJ, you had death in your family. I'm really sorry for your loss, and I know how tough that can be, so, but other than that, man, everybody look like we're going in the right direction as far as what we want to do. And with that being said, we're going to go in the direction of talking about some sports. The NFL, we pretty much had a situation with some fairly interesting games. I mean, I'm actually surprised that Kansas City, pretty much gave everything that they could to New England. They ended up losing that game. The Chicago-Miami game was nuts. That was insane. I'd never seen a game go like that where, there's a scapegoat and then all of a sudden he's off the hook. But Yeah, he basically fumbled the ball at 1 inch line.
They should have. Yeah,
they should have lost that game.
And I feel bad for the folks who lost the coverage of that game after it. After they had to put the next game on. Because,
oh my God, I was that guy. I was sitting here. I was sitting there looking at it, and as soon as that guy missed the field goal, I was like, "Oh my God, he missed the field goal!" And then all of a sudden, it was like, "We got to go to another game." I was like, "Oh no, are you serious?"
That game was insane. They had it on Red Zone. They had it on obviously Sunday Ticket, NFL Sunday Ticket. So I watched it on Red Zone, and they picked up the coverage there because obviously they cover pretty much every game in the league, and it was just, you wouldn't expect Miami to be in a game like that. Now, granted, they had a lot of help from the refs pretty much turning a blind eye to Khalil Mack getting held on every single play, but Brock Osweiler played like he had his head on straight for once.
I know. I mean, this is like we were looking at Brock Osweiler like his first 3 or 4 games when he came in the league. That's what he looked like. That's what he looked like. And then
you got Frank Gore, who's looking like Benjamin Button. He just doesn't age.
Oh man, he was looking good too. I mean, can you believe he's number 4 on the all-time rushing list?
I can.
If seriously, 6 months down the road from now, and somebody tell you that once again, you're gonna be me personally. I'll be taken aback because it's hard for me to believe. Like Frank Gore is like the quietest running back in the history of the NFL because you barely hear about him, and when you do hear about him, it's like something out of the way. Like he's done this, he's done that, and then when you look at his body of work, he's number 4 on the list. That could be a trivia question in some cases.
And if any one of those top 4 had to earn it, it was him.
Right.
Because he played on a horrible team for 90% of his career. His team had a 3-year stretch when they were contenders. The rest of those years, they had different coaches every year. Horrible quarterbacks. Horrible lines. Stacking the box because you knew that their receivers weren't going to get open. Things like that.
Wasn't he around when him and Alex Smith had to deal with like offensive coordinators for the first 5 years of their career or something like that? I know. With Alex Smith, it was the first 5 or first 4 years of his career. He went through like 5 different offensive coordinators. By then, Frank Gore's already been in the league, but still, you go through a stretch, you have to go through different offensive coordinators for that long a stretch of time. I mean, how could you be great?
He was the best player on a team where Mike Singletary sent Vernon Davis to the showers early.
And you know what? That was and you know what? That was probably the best thing that ever happened to Vernon Davis.
Yeah.
Now, to be honest with you, that probably was one of the best. Because, I mean, ever since then, I mean, he played, like, really good for the next couple of years.
He's still in the league, and even though his athleticism isn't the freak of nature type athleticism that it used to be, he still is good enough and smart enough and witty enough to still be in the league. He's still effective, much like Ben Watson.
Right. But I'm saying, if that never happened, then for him to get disciplined to realize that something needs to change in his psyche, it could have been a situation where his career could have turned to a different path. If anything, that's one thing Mike Singletary has done. If anything, as far as coaching, he pretty much made sure that guy kept his head on straight to have a long career.
And that's what you see a lot of times when you have a coach that is coaching a team that doesn't really have that much talent, and they can find that one player that will actually be something in the league. They try to take that player under their wing, even if nobody else on the team cares about winning. I mean, I heard Kenny Smith talk about it with Bill Russell, and he spoke about how Bill Russell was coaching the Kings in Kenny Smith's rookie year, and he's just like, I would trade all of you, but nobody wants y'all. That's just how bad y'all are.
Right.
And Kenny Smith, he said he would have Kenny Smith sit right next to him every single day. And Kenny Smith wondered why. He said, you're the only person on the team that has a chance to do anything in this league.
Wow.
So
crazy.
Just a little bit of insight into that Vernon Davis and Mike Singletary relationship. I'm pretty sure it was the same way.
Yeah, I can agree. All right. What about these Carolina Panthers and this Washington Redskins? DJ, your team pulls out the victory against Cam Newton and and the Carolina Panthers.
It was just an ugly game, honestly. Like the Skins scored early and didn't score late. Like the pattern that has formed with this team. It just seems like John. I'm about to say John. You feel like he's bad as John, but he's not. I feel like Jay, when he calls a game, he calls a good scripted game. It's just when it goes beyond the script, that's where it's just like I don't know what to expect from him. But Josh Norman wound up picking off his former team and finally getting an interception for the first time ever since he was a Carolina Panther. He's dropped so many potential interceptions along the way as a Redskin, but he got it. The defense held up when it came down to it. They offensively, I look on Twitter and people criticize, certain receivers or something, whatever, or they express certain faith, like in Dotson, in Josh Dotson. And I'm just like, well, like one person was complaining that he's not getting enough targets. I was like, you see this dude drop passes? Of course he's not going to get as many targets.
You keep dropping passes, nobody going to throw to you.
And then here's the other thing. I know, Bill, you just talked about Vernon Davis. And now his real resurgence has been since Alex Smith has been with the Washington Redskins, because you see the Redskins go more to Vernon Davis than they do to Jordan Reed. So I know some people are probably wondering about that, but that's just, I'm like, and I can attest to this personally, knowing that, I had in my rec league, I had a quarterback that, I was in tune with. Well, right. He's no longer the quarterback of the team. And we brought some new players, and there was already a quarterback receiver duo that came over. So most of the passes, I didn't get as many targets and whatnot. And I thought about it. It was rough at first, but it's one of those things where you understand that you go with what you know, and you develop the rest.
Right, and a lot of people just don't realize that, not in football, but just anything that involves sports. If you have a teammate and you're in tune with them and y'all on the same wavelength, it makes a big difference. I mean, look at the Green Bay Packers right now. Aaron Rodgers is missing Jordan Nelson. I don't care what anybody say. Yeah, he can say they're winning games or whatever the case may be, but it's not the same without Jordy Nelson. I mean, easily. So, I mean, just stuff like that, it makes a difference. I mean, as far as my team, Atlanta beat Tampa Bay. They have more injuries. They put Devontae Freeman on IR. Calvin Ridley is out now. So it's like the injuries continue to endlessly pile up, but they did manage to win. They managed to win the game. Even though with these losses, I mean, Matt Ryan, this guy's playing lights out. I mean, does anybody notice like the numbers he's putting up?
I got him on my fantasy team.
I mean, he's putting up like serious numbers, and I'm like, this is like almost like borderline like Matthew Stafford type stuff.
You understand why he's able to put up these numbers, because they're usually behind.
Yeah, because the defense is like not, I mean, you lost your middle linebacker, you lost your two safeties, so I totally get it. But for him to be like only, almost at 2,000 yards already. He's already almost at 2,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, that's like, that's like really good. I mean, he's probably on pace to hitting 5,000 if he keeps it up. I doubt it if he will, but I mean, as of right now, I mean, that's what it looks like.
Well, I'm tired of people stressing that the Falcons force feed the ball to Julio Jones for him to have a touchdown. Quite frankly, that should be the least of their worries right now.
I agree.
To force feed somebody the ball just for the sake of stats.
I mean, that's the quickest way to continuously get L's.
Yeah, I mean, clearly what they're doing right now is working offensively.
Offensively, the team has no problem offensively.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm actually,
keep it going.
Yeah, I'm actually, I'm actually giving a nod to the Sarkisian. I mean, the guy's actually putting the team in situations where they can put up 30 points a game. Compared to last year, where I don't even want to talk about the shit that he did last year. It was stupid. But Your defense is depleted, so you're gonna have this situation. But I don't have anything else to say about them. They played the Giants on Monday night. I can see them winning that one too. But the Giants, I mean, it's talented. They have the weapons that they have. They just can't get it together, and I'm starting to think Eli's the problem. So I mean, they're gonna have to draft a quarterback next year. I mean, there's no way around that.
I have this concern. Why are certain teams waiting so late to start grooming young quarterbacks?
Because they're romanticizing the current one they have.
Yeah, he just answered it for. Hey, see, that's the problem. Is like they don't realize ever since like 2008 that formula has been working. You saw like we talked about last week. You see the Joe Flacco's, you see the Matt Ryans. I mean, even before he got hurt, you saw the RG3s. I mean, you see these young quarterbacks come out and they're actually on fire, and you can really build a team around a quarterback under his rookie contract. It's like Cleveland had to find out the hard way. They just found out that, Tyrod Taylor, as nice as he plays, the team just responds better to Baker Mayfield. Buffalo hasn't learned yet. You see what happened with them the other day.
Sorry, man, they get a raging hard on every time Nathan Peterman's name gets brought up. And now this time they actually have an excuse because Josh Allen, who actually was starting to hit his stride, got injured.
Right.
And it's just, I don't get with the Giants. What they don't understand is what they're basically doing. They're using everybody else as a scapegoat but Eli Manning.
Right,
all the pressure is on Odell Beckham. Yeah. Odell Beckham should shut up and play more.
He has another tantrum.
Well, it's like first off, him and Saquon Barkley are the two guys giving more effort than anybody else on that field to make Eli look like he's still a formidable quarterback. It's still not working.
That other receiver is doing okay too.
Shepard?
Yeah, Shepard. He's doing okay.
Shepard's a monster.
I'll give him credit too, but the rest of the team is like blah.
I've seen more psychoanalysis about this dude's drops this year. Mind you, up till, I think, week 3, none of the drops were considered catchable passes, so all of them were uncatchable, which means that's on Eli.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just, to me, when you have a situation where the franchise is romanticizing the quarterback, like I said, they're doing the same thing with Big Ben in Pittsburgh. Yeah, Big Ben has his good weeks, he has his bad weeks. Mason Rudolph clearly is not the heir apparent. They're making it seem like that, but nobody ever expects Mason Rudolph to start.
No.
Let's be honest. Me and VF talked about that before anybody else talked about it.
Yeah.
Because he found an article talking about how they were, voicing their opinions about what kind of quarterback he could be. And I'm looking at him just like, you got to be kidding me. There's no way this dude's going to start over Big Ben.
No.
But at the end
on top of that, Big Ben don't want nothing to do with him anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, they drafted a quarterback this year. They drafted a quarterback last year on New York. They aren't going to get in the way of Eli starting. They're not good enough.
They're not putting the time in for heir apparent.
No,
they're basically just drafting him just so they can sit behind him.
And that was Hugh Jackson's issue with Tyrod Taylor, acting like Tyrod Taylor was a franchise quarterback, just saying, "Look, Baker's going to sit this year," was a mistake.
Right.
And then he had his hand forced. Okay? And the difference is, Tyrod Taylor ain't won 2 Super Bowls ages ago where he can hold on to that forever. Okay? Plenty of quarterbacks play with bad lines. Eli's the only person who gets an excuse for this. I don't get it. Joe Flacco's currently playing with a bad line. They're winning games.
Oh, man. Andrew Luck's played with a bad line his entire career.
Deshaun Watson's playing with a bad line. I mean, come on. Let's stop this. But, I mean, to go to my team real quick, what a game.
Yeah.
That's what I can say. What a game. Tyreek Hill is clearly a special talent. I think most people can accept that, except Jalen Ramsey, apparently. Patrick Mahomes, man. I mean, to have the first quarter that he did, and Bill Belichick was really pushing the envelope on those formations in nickel where no linemen, nobody in the front 7 had their hands in the dirt. Everybody was standing. You couldn't tell who was coming, who was going, who was dropping into coverage, who was blitzing, if they were in man. It was brilliant. But then Patrick Mahomes found that magic that only he and few quarterbacks have, where no matter what defense you're in, his arm will beat it.
Right.
And Tyreek Hill was getting behind the defense because he's Tyreek Hill. McCourty couldn't keep up with him. And they ran the ball okay, not too great. I mean, Kareem Hunt obviously had a big game, but as far as the times where they ran the ball well, you could tell that they were only running the ball well because New England was kind of playing that bend but don't break defense that they like to
Right.
play, or that they're forced to play because
you're looking at you're looking at the rushes. I mean, he had 10 for 80 yards. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they gave him the ball enough. But on the flip side of that, he had 5 catches for 105. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't make the argument either way. So, you can say that he didn't get to run the ball enough, but at the same time, he got a good bit of catches. So,
Yeah, because Andy Reid's a really good offensive coach. We all pretty much know this. He was getting Kareem Hunt in situations where the linebacker would have to defend him, or a D lineman dropping into a zone would have to keep tabs on him, and obviously that does not work when you have somebody like Tyreek Hill who is pulling coverage to, pulling their attention to him. I'm really liking how Josh Gordon's looking, despite the fact they're using him the completely wrong way.
yeah, I thought I was the only one that noticed that.
I don't get why Josh McDaniels is not having him go more vertical. I understand they're trying to get Chris Hogan involved and keep him interested, even though Chris Hogan's one of those guys that doesn't really need the ball that much because he's a glue guy. He's like an Amendola. Philip Dorsett shouldn't touch the field, and that's no knock against him, but there's just too many good receivers on his team. I think if you send Josh Gordon vertical, you'll get Gronk open a lot more than even he was last game. We really need to start hitting our stride offensively because Brady has thrown some picks this season that he had no business throwing. And part of it is him, and part of it is the fact that the play design just isn't where it should be. Overall, I still don't feel very great about the Patriots, and I'm sure that everybody who's not a Patriots fan, and some Patriots fans will say, oh, well, you have no reason to be skeptical. I have plenty of reason to be skeptical. That Jacksonville game was enough for me. We have one guy who creates a pass rush for the entire line just by drawing a double team. It's disgusting.
Well, speaking of Jacksonville, this guy's got blown out by Dallas.
What the hell happened with that?
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I mean, before we jump over to, we're going to talk about a little bit NBA. If you haven't been living under a rock, I mean, you would know that Dallas beat up on the Jacksonville Jaguars 40-0. They dropped 40 on them. I'm sorry, 40-7. And neither quarterback played pretty good. Both of them threw for under 200 yards. I watched the game, but at the same time, I was like, abysmal. It was just abysmal play by Jacksonville. I don't know what happened out there.
It's really funny.
Don't. I mean,
it's funny. I'm gonna let DJ speak on it, obviously, because I've talked for a while. But just my quick thoughts. I see Jacksonville's fan base fighting over whether to blame defense or the offense. How about you blame the team who went either 3-and-out or turnover for the entire game and forced the defense to play on short fields? I don't know. Just my idea.
I'm just looking at the scoring, and it's like this is just a bunch of. This is like the quietest 40 points that I've seen. But it wasn't quiet if you were actually watching what was happening. Yeah. Because if you look at the stats don't show you 40 points. But if you watch the game, it was like Jacksonville was just out of sync in everything. Yeah. I mean, it was just horrible to look at. And I don't know what was going on with the team. I mean, DJ, what are your thoughts?
I just look at it like this now. Looking at it for the fact that the Redskins do play Dallas this week.
You ain't got to worry about getting 40 points scored on you.
See, but it's just funny that they did destroy Jacksonville like the way they did. I'm like, I didn't really watch the. Well, I was in a region that didn't really get the game, so couldn't really like break it down like you guys are doing. But I just know this is that you're right. There's no way Dallas is scoring 40 points again this season.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I was just about to say that.
Because first of all, Dak Prescott is not that good. Two, I really don't know that they're still trying to run the offense through Ezekiel, and he'll have his good moments. He'll have his moments where they shut him down. It's not really like it was in his rookie season. That defense still no name. Spotty, except for Sean Lee, and maybe a defensive end. I really don't care who's on Dallas at this point. They're not putting 40 on another team again in this lifetime.
Yeah, I don't see it. I mean,
you think Dallas could literally score 40 against any other team in the
if Dallas scored 40 against Jacksonville, which pretty much has no injuries, even with the short fields, if you look at Dak Prescott's stats, those are stats that he wouldn't even put up against a worse team. The dude went 17 for 27 for 183 and 2 touchdowns. I mean,
that don't speak 40 points though.
That speaks 40 points. That speaks 40 points when Zeke goes 24 for 106.
See, but no, that's what I'm saying. That's why I was saying in the beginning. I don't agree with that. Those numbers don't speak 40 points.
Their defense forced turnovers.
Now with that, if you add that to it, but I'm thinking when you think about 40 points, most of the time, yeah, you're going to get like a pick six or you're going to get a short field to get that. But then again, your quarterback's going to at least give you 240. You know what I'm saying? Your running back may give you 106, but they're going to still have like 20 yards receiving.
Yeah, but a lot of times those 40-point games also have a couple of turnovers.
See, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not knocking what you're saying because you made a good point when you said about the defensive turnovers. Because I didn't think about that. Because when I started talking about Dallas, it was more like, okay, I see what Dak did, I see what Zeke did. That don't speak 40 points to me. But like I said, you're going to have a possible pick six or a short field or a punt return or something like that. But when you look at the rest of the schedule, they play Washington, Tennessee, Philly, Atlanta, Washington,
Tennessee,
New Orleans, Philly again, Indiana. That'll be the game that they'll probably drop 40 on again, if any.
Is it in Indy?
It's in Indy, but it doesn't matter. That team sucks. I can see them doing it on them. Who else you said they'll play? Tennessee. That could be another because they're playing at Tennessee. I mean, they're playing in Dallas, so I can see
they're
that.
Awful though. Like they're like really bad.
So
they're like really really bad.
I can see them dropping 40 on Indiana or Tennessee.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't say any team. No, it's not gonna happen to Washington, but I mean, we can't just discount what happened in this game just because Jacksonville has a couple injuries. I mean, they were top offense in the league last year.
They're still a good defense. You're right. Yeah. You're right.
They're a damn good defense.
It's just hard. It's just hard for me to see it for them to drop another 40. But if you look at the schedule, Tennessee and Indiana, those are the two. I can see it.
What other games do we have this week? We had the Raiders showing their true selves.
I'm not
27-3.
No one cares about the Raiders.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about them.
It's just like YouTube. They're dead.
Yeah, I like laughing at this corpse in this situation. Titans lost 21-zip.
Yep. The Rams and Denver played. Denver lost by 3. That team right there, man. Denver is like they're like one of those teams that are going to continuously lose games by like 3 or less for the entire season.
I heard their fans cheered when the backup quarterback got subbed in just to take a knee. That's how bad Case Keenum is right now.
But it's not even Case Keenum. They really like Chad Kelly or something like that.
I think that's a backup.
Yeah, the fan base really liked that kid ever since he got drafted. I think he was like Mr. Irrelevant that year when he got drafted out of Ole Miss.
Keenum is also.
No, he wasn't. Was he really drafted last?
Yeah, I think he was drafted last. I
thought he was just a low round pick, not Mr. Irrelevant.
I'm looking it up right now.
253, round 7.
I think he was Mr. Irrelevant. I think he was.
He is. He was.
Yeah, I was saying he was Mr. Irrelevant, and they were real. I mean, they were high on him. They were high on him over the time when they had Paxton Lynch and Trevor Siemian. They wanted him to start then.
I mean, yeah, but they weren't going to cheer if one of those guys got taken out for the last play of the half just to take a knee. I mean, this is Case Keenum territory that I mean, this is just another example of a quarterback that's fool's gold.
Right. Case Keenum was a beast at
He
Houston, man.
found lightning in a bottle for one season with a damn good defense, and Kirk Cousins is tearing it up way better than Case Keenum ever could throw the ball.
Shout out to Kirk Cousins. He's doing really good.
But Kirk Cousins is getting exposed a little bit, because he's still turning the ball. He's still, as far as fumbling is concerned, he's still turning the ball over there.
I mean, Cousins has shortcomings as far as protecting the ball, definitely when he's scrambling. But as far as just throwing the ball, Keenum versus Cousins, it's not close. I mean basically have the same receivers this year, and Thielen looks like a Pro Bowl receiver. I mean, I even saw a segment which I think was a bit much, where they were asking if Adam Thielen was the best receiver in the league.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk Cousins has been his ball placement has been amazing this year.
Yeah.
It's been really good. Anyway, that's enough for the NBA. I think there's nothing else to buy. Yeah, the NFL. That's what I'm gonna say. I was jumping to the NBA. My bad. As the time of this podcast, we have a handful of games that are already done. The Bucks beat the Hornets. Not surprised.
Kemba had a big night.
Yeah, Kemba did have a big night. He scored 41, 2 rebounds and 4 assists.
Blake Griffin got his shit pinned again by some no-name guy.
Really? I saw that on Twitter, but I didn't know what it was all about. But
bro, I mean, once in preseason and then the first game you have it happen again. It's like, where are those highlight films at? Maybe people just moving out of your way.
It must be. Andrew Drummond had a pretty big game. He had 24 and 20.
Yeah, that dude is the best rebounder in the league. It's not even close.
Yeah, seriously.
But they're going to be like an 8 seed and get smoked by Boston.
Yeah, it won't be. So speaking of Boston, those guys played amazing the other night. They played pretty good. Jason Tatum.
That was a game filled with highlights.
You know what's sad? Kyrie played awful.
Yeah, he did.
Well, he didn't play awful. He shot off. I don't say he played awful.
Yeah,
he shot awful. Hayward's just easing into it. Tatum had a great night.
Yeah, Hayward gets a pass.
Yeah, but it's like, this is the second best team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
And they got shellacked. Now, granted, yeah, they're going to have to get their lineup together. They're going to have to figure out whether to start Fultz or Redick. Yeah, all that's real nice. They don't have a bench that could deal with the Celtics.
Not too many teams in the East do.
No, I mean, I guess maybe Toronto.
Yeah.
And Washington on a good day.
Yeah. I think the key with Washington is going to be, what is Markieff Morris going to do when that matchup pops up, if it arises? Mm-hmm. Because he's probably going to be the X factor in that series. We know what Beal's going to bring. We know what Wall's going to bring. We know Dwight's going to rebound and give effort when he's touching the ball, more times than he did in Houston. So that should be interesting. Washington's going to surprise a lot of people. But honestly, Toronto and Philly are the only two teams who would be of any threat to Boston.
Listen, man, I'm telling you right now, and I know y'all boys might laugh in my face, my Chicago Bulls are getting the 4th seed in the East.
Nope.
Can't laugh at that.
4th seed in the East. My Chicago Bulls getting number 4. Telling you right now.
What do you think?
Big capital letters N-O. That is not happening.
My Chicago Bulls is getting the 4. At the least, I ain't gonna say at the least, but I can see them 4 or 5.
If Jabari Parker stays healthy,
I've been watching these guys
getting 5th seed.
I've been watching these guys in the preseason.
Forgetting about Milwaukee, bro.
Yeah, Milwaukee too. Damn, I might have to concede to get the 5th.
And of course, you're forgetting about Washington in that situation too, because
but I hate to say it, DJ, but I think the Bulls could take Washington.
No,
I want to see that 4-5.
First of all, we've already seen a Washington playoff team take out a Chicago playoff team, so we're not even going to go there.
Yeah, you really don't want to go there because I can flip that back to you so easily.
Oh boy.
I was a Bulls fan at that point, so you can't.
No, I'm serious, man. I mean, I'm looking at these teams in the East. I mean, you see Toronto, you see Boston, you see Philly, you see Milwaukee. I mean, but I'm looking at these Bulls. I was watching them this preseason, and I'm really loving what I see with these guys. These guys, they're young, but they look like they really could do something if people stay healthy and they actually play good team ball. They have a very good team.
I mean, people are sitting here.
They'll miss one spot. They'll miss the playoffs for one spot.
No, the
Don't
Bulls
make it interesting.
And we haven't even. I mean, you talking about Jabari? We talking about Jabari Parker? You talking about Zach LaVine?
They'll probably be like a 6 seed. They're gonna comfortably make the playoffs. I mean, who's gonna beat them out for a playoff spot? The Hornets.
Exactly. They just got rocked today.
I mean, okay. This is what I see. I see.
They barely lost.
I see Boston.
They get rocked.
Boston. Yeah, Washington.
Hey, listen. Let me live.
Washington, Philly.
Charlotte
Chicago
lost by 1 point. Got rocked.
That's 5 right there. Boston, Washington, Indy, Philly, Toronto, Miami. No, I don't think we're making it this year.
I mean, I like I said, I like the team that my Bulls that they put assembled.
Oh, Knicks, no. Hawks, hell no.
No.
How about the Knicks tonight?
Yeah, they let the Knicks put 49 on them in the second quarter.
What?
Yep, the Knicks put 49 on them in the second quarter.
Trae Young went 5 for 14. Look forward to a lot more of those nights.
Oh my God! And I swear, later on, and this guy Luka Doncic, I swear, man. Every time this dude make a bucket, man, the GM, the ownership in Atlanta should be kicking themselves.
They playing at 10:30 too.
Good God! I was like, why would they even make that trade? I mean, I'm not a Trae Young fan, and the Atlanta Hawks is the home team. But I'm not a fan of Trae Young. I never was, and when they picked Doncic, I thought it was a really good pick. The kid looked like he could play, and he's like showing what he can do. And then you have this other guy from Oklahoma just jacking up threes and airballing and hitting the back of the rim and all this other stuff. I can't deal.
What do y'all think about the West? That is because, good God, Houston does not look good right now. And I know it's the first game of the season, but I'm looking at their bench, and
Houston looks terrible right now.
I mean, Carmelo came off their bench, and he provided, I guess, some form of offense, but he's not going to be nearly as good as people expect. They're just blaming Russell Westbrook for that entire season last year. It's not.
Wait a minute. Mirotic has 30 points in this game.
Yep.
Wow.
And who was guarding him? Well, Carmelo was for a lot of the game.
No defense.
Listen,
slow, bumbling, fumbling.
I love that guy's game. Don't get me wrong. I love Mirotic's game, and I understand why.
This man damn near had a triple double.
Yeah.
Yeah, he finished with a double double.
These motherfuckers are getting blown out. By 20?
Okay, there were 3 players that scored 4 that scored 20 or more points. Like
they're down by
9. Scored 21.
In New Orleans, bro.
Mirotic 30, Davis 32, and then off the bench, Julius Randle with 25 in
Jesus
just
Christ.
23 minutes.
Bro, the thing is, and you know what it is. Well, for the first thing, you got used goods and Brandon Knight as your backup point guard.
Right.
You got Michael Carter Williams, who's gonna play some pretty big minutes. James Ennis, really? He hasn't even.
Only had 18 points. What the? What
Carmelo had 9.
And people are gonna say, "Oh, New Orleans is gonna surprise some people." No, that's
Carmelo
was 3 for 10 from the field, though.
3 for 10, 1 for 5, and 3 points in 27 minutes.
That would be nice if we were playing baseball.
Let's see, we got another situation where Melo's only getting 10 shots, and he's never gonna change his game to impact the game with only getting 10 shots.
Well, not only that,
minutes, so.
He was on the floor for 27 minutes and only took 10 shots. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing because if you shoot...
in a James Harden situation, there always will be until one of them leaves. There's no third star you can add to this team and make them better.
Matter of fact, hold up. I'm looking at all these shot attempts, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, Harden had 15, Paul 12, Carmelo 10. What's Eric Gordon shooting up 14 shots for?
because that's what he does.
And then MC Dub is shooting 10 shots.
The thing about Eric Gordon,
shots up, is because he knows he won't get the ball back if he passes.
But not only that, the thing about Eric Gordon, the way this team is supposed to be set up, Eric Gordon is supposed to be the guy that pushes the ball when James Harden's not in the game. That's why Eric Gordon's doing nothing wrong, in my opinion. No. Because that's what he's supposed to do when Harden's not on the floor. He's supposed to be the backup for James Harden's role. So, I mean, and to be honest with you, he was like the most efficient out of everybody on the team.
Well, if you're talking about out of all the players that didn't go negative as far as the plus minus, like James Harden was the most inefficient out of all of them. He was at minus 23.
Yeah, but I've always hated plus minus. It's such a dumb.
It's a hockey thing.
Hockey makes sense.
That's why I actually like that they added that stat to basketball, because I do like to see how efficient players are. I know they have other stats for that, but that plus minus is like a big thing.
But I mean, if you want to take.
Basketball can be affected by so many things. I don't really.
Yeah,
like
that is true. That is true.
Same with hockey.
But
so many things that affect the plus minus there too.
Yeah, if you really look at the thin line, the silver lining in the Rockets. I mean, Eric Gordon did exactly what he was supposed to do. He did it. He did his job. He played 29 minutes. He was 7 of 14, 2 of 9 for 3. He played 20. He had 21 points. Yeah, he was minus 11. But most of the guys come off the bench are usually the minus guys.
But that's too many people shooting 10 or more shots. I'm sorry.
I get what you're saying.
Everybody's touching the ball.
But
would you rather Harden take 27 and Chris Paul take 20 and Gordon take...
No. It doesn't have to be that extreme. You're supposed to leave most of your shots for your 3 primary scorers. It's just unfortunate that one of them's on the bench.
Well, I mean, not only that. I mean, the other 3 primary scorers, they weren't that efficient. I mean, 6 of 12, 6 of 15, and 3 for 10. I mean, all of them are under what that is. Paul is 50%. James Harden damn near at 40 or under 40.
Or he's at 40.
I said this. Right. I said this when they got together. Chris Paul and James Harden are 2 ball-dominant guards. You are not going to touch the ball again if you pass it back to them. I can guarantee you that. They are getting their shots up when they can. That's what these other guys are doing.
Like Clint Capella had 9 shots.
And
James Venus at 7.
Give him the max.
And you know what the thing about it is? They should be giving Clint Capella more shots than damn near anybody, because the way Chris Paul and James Harden play, they will be more successful if they went inside out.
I would rather a post player get those 10 shots that Carmelo got. I don't know why they got Carmelo.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, say if you take that 10 and you give Capella those 10, he has 19 shots.
Or you give another post player those 10 that's more viable than him.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I think that Chris Paul and James Harden play better if they go inside out. But they don't play that way.
Man, they should have kept Trevor Ariza.
Yeah, that too.
Trevor Ariza. They got worse with Carmelo Anthony. People are going to say, oh, Carmelo Anthony's still a top 20. You're not a top 20 nothing. Okay? The only way he's effective is with the ball in his hands, and he has to catch the ball in certain spots to even be effective in that capacity. There is no way you're going to convince me that they got better when Trevor Ariza was their best perimeter defender, their best spot-up shooter other than Eric Gordon. Now you're starting P.J. Tucker because you need offense off the bench. Once Carmelo comes in, if he's playing with Chris Paul or James Harden, they're not just going to force feed him the ball.
Yeah.
And then look at this. Anthony Davis put up 32 and 16, which he does against a lot of teams, but it's not all Clint Capella. Who else is going to...
The thing was that Meritic put up 30 and Julius Randle had 25. Of
course. Yeah. Julius Randle had 25 since college. So, I mean, come on.
I understand why Meritic's not with the Bulls anymore. He got his ass kicked by Portis. But that dude can ball. That dude can ball. That dude always had skills. Well, anyway, anything else y'all want to add to the NBA? Because I want to talk about a few games, and then we can just call it a day.
No, I'll look out for Utah in the West.
Yeah, man, I love Donovan Mitchell, man. I like that guy's game.
And the Wizards play the Heat tomorrow, so... Yeah. Well, actually, by the time people listen to the podcast, it'll be tonight.
Yeah. Because they play, my Bulls play the 76ers. So.
And I'll tell you, I've never been less excited to watch the Miami Heat than I am this year.
Especially after they lost against Orlando.
They suck.
Yeah, they lost. They lost to Orlando.
They're so pedestrian.
That's so much. That was kind of a surprise. I didn't expect that. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed episode 39 of the First and Framerates podcast. You can catch us on iTunes. You can catch us on SoundCloud. You can also catch us on YouTube. And you also can follow us on Twitter. I am at VFBaller. Bills is at Bills4th. And DJ is at DJ81. So, hope you guys enjoyed. We'll be back with more content next week. And I hope you guys take care. Peace.